Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and welcome you to today's live webinar from Neurodivergent Business Consortium. We have shifted today's program a little bit later than as usual we do from 12 to 1. As you know that we have to invite guests and we have to stay connected with our guests. So making sure that our schedule and their schedule is matches correctly. So that's why we could not do our as usual live from 12 to 1. So here we go. We are doing it from 5 to 6. So thank you everyone for joining today's live webinar. I'm Dr. Shah Siddiqui from Neurodivergent Business Consortium, and we have a very special guest today, and I will introduce him in a bit. So if you're watching this live through LinkedIn or YouTube or Facebook or any other social media, feel free to ask us questions through the comment box, and we will try to answer your questions as we speak. So today we have Harun Rabbani. You know that we have done, I think last month we done one program, and then I invited Harun again because he has wealth of knowledge. Both of us are neurodivergent. I'm on autism and he's in ADHD. But as I said, neurodivergent people and his knowledge is extraordinary. So we are collaborating in many projects are going to be in the future. But today we just want to talk on neurodivergent mentorships. And I think is it very important for us to talk about that. So Harun, thank you very much for joining today's webinar.
Thank you for having me back on, Dr. Shah Siddiqui, or Shah as we like to call you. Thank you very much for having me on. And this is such an important conversation to have because many of us are trapped in this mindset, especially generally in this mindset that things should be this way or that way in the world of entrepreneurship. And actually, neurodiverse people bring such a rich, diverse level of creativity. And they see things so differently to so-called neurotypical normal people. So yeah, this is an important conversation, but thank you for having me on.
So all the audience, you know that Harun is the CEO and founder of the Young Leader Nexus, and he's trying to improve young people in relation with their job placements, in relation with their education, in relation with a lot of other things. And we're going to be working together in the future. But Harun, I just wanted to ask you a few things at the beginning, because those people, they do not know you. Could you please introduce yourself? A little bit brief about you and what you do.
Well, I've been in the field of entrepreneurship since most of my life. So I'm going to be in a few weeks' time. I'm going to turn 55. At the age of 12, I actually got into business, not by choice. It was a family business. And here's the thing. What I found naturally was very important to me was I saw patterns of behavior, human behavior. And for all my life, I have to say, I've always questioned how people think and behave. Why are they thinking and behave that the way they do? Why can't they see the logical, rational path of what possibilities are there? Why are people stuck in negativity and focusing on problems? And here's the thing, I'm a strong believer, all my life has been that we're all meant for some level of greatness. And the only thing that's stopping us from the greatness is distractions. So that allowed me to, from practice, to actually prove to me that, hey, I can do it. I can change, make a world a better place. So I focus all my energy and attention as a teenager in the area of martial arts, and I became eventually a local champion, regional champion, and then eventually national champion. I then placed that same attention when I went into medical sales, and I got to number one. And I've done this across a number of arenas. And so I spent most of my life trying to understand how I, as one individual, can make the world a better place. And then later on, and especially now, is how can we nurture both young people and highly experienced people to make a much more amazing world that we have, because the world's a mess, right? We know that. How do we do it with young people? Because the truth is that the greatest hidden talents that you'll find, some of them, in fact, a lot of them, are neurodivergent. And yet, having been a motivational speaker going into schools and colleges, and particularly in schools, the ones that who get neglected most in a comprehensive school are the ones with behavioral issues. And when I speak to these young people, actually, they're way more intelligent than all the others.
Hmm.
So I've got a very strong affinity. I am no expert at anything. I just focus on something, geek out, get good at it, and move on. And so for me, my attention really is now. How can we bring out the most amazing um, skills, talents out of people by creating the kind of environment where they feel safe to be themselves? But this doesn't apply just to young people. It also applies to women, to men, people of color, people not of color, people who've got talents. They've got the saying is you don't want to go to the grave with your song still in you. So my whole dream is to help people to sing their song, not literally, that's Britain's Got Talent, but in terms of bring out their own natural gift. And that's long and short of what's been driving me.
Thank you, Aaron. I think all the viewers, they will be love to listen to you today. We're going to be sharing our success stories and as well as discussing why mentorship is crucial. I give my example because I think my life is, I would say, when you people see film and they see a story, and that story will have ups and downs and a lot of drama and a lot of things. I think my life is similar to that. So if I portray that life to a sketch, it will become a film. So on my childhood, I was autistic. I did not know that. So my mother, she helped me as a mentor. So she used to tell me, okay, what do those things you are very good at, and don't think about what other people say. Think about what you do, your work, and your actions, and those will get you to the right place you wanted to go. So gradually, our mom, and then we have family, friends, people from the village, because I was born in Bangladesh, raised in Dhaka, and then I did not have a good child life because my father died and my mother, we were 11 brothers and sisters. So in that way, but what my mother did, she gave me the freedom for me to think and value my ideas. You will be glad to know that I was admitted to a madrasa. When my father died, people say, okay, this is your last child, 10th, number 10th. I was number 10th. So why don't you give him to madrasa? And my mother gave me to madrasa. And after 1 year, she took me back from there. Why? Because I went to madrasa, and when I come back, I used to make a sculpture, lot of sculpture, different type of things, all artwork and all of those things. And she said, okay, my son not gonna do good in madrasa because madrasa and the work he does is really contradictory. So she took out me from there, and then my life started in normal education. So do you have anything to share on your childhood, Harun?
There's actually, I went to madrasa as well, but in the
Okay.
UK. I was born in Bangladesh, but went to madrasa in the UK.
Mhm.
It was not the best story of it wasn't something that has a happy ending to it because I was in madrasa and I actually was I was the youngest student by 2 years to be
Mhm.
allowed in because I loved Arabic recitation. I absolutely loved it. I used to listen to it as a child and it was so mesmerizing for me. But the conditions, we're talking 1979, 1980, the conditions of the madrasa, which is still there today, it's good now. It was horrible, absolutely
Mhm.
horrible. After a few months, I was like a stick insect. I was already skinny, but I was like skin and bones. I could not survive there. So it was only as a result of my late uncle that he forced his younger brother, my dad, to take me out. And that's how it is. But in terms of my own experiences, as a someone with ADHD, I we don't like small talk, even though I can do it. We don't
Mhm.
like small talk, and excuse the language, we see bullshit for what it is. So what would
Don't
happen?
tell me that.
Yeah, my father would bring his friends along. And by the way, I didn't realize until much years later that my father's got autistic traits. He's in his 80s, which explains everything. And he was orphaned without either parent. So what I found was growing up was that I would see solutions where people would only find problems. In fact, I wouldn't see one solution, I'd see many solutions. And my mother also was my mentor because my father's always working away. And one of the things I found was that in some respects, I was also mentoring her. I was
Mhm.
mentoring her in her own relationship with my dad. I was mentoring her in actually living. She was immigrant, non-English speaking. She learned English from me. So I think one of the things you'll find with people with neurodiversity is they're plunged into very difficult circumstances. Because I'm currently writing a book called Raising Titans, and I've yet to interview you on this, but I'm interviewing a number of people to understand their childhood story versus what they're doing. And I can tell you, every single neurodiverse person I've come across who I've spoken to have had to deal with a lot of tragedies and a lot
Mhm.
of traumas, real difficult childhood. And this is why I strongly believe that it's a bit like going to the gym. When you work out and you're really having to push that heavy weight, you're going to build muscles over time.
Mhm.
And so, with a lot of people with neurodiversity issues, not just them, but we're focusing on that area, you will find that the majority of them, one way or the other, are highly gifted. But the
Mhm.
downside is when we're going through this, most of us feel totally isolated and alone. Even when we're with people, we feel like there's nobody understands me. There's a lot of judgment, there's a lot of violence, a lot of bullying, all of that. I think I've been through it for sure. We've all been through that. So, like yourself, the traditional education system, even though I went through it to degree level, actually didn't suit my intelligence. What I found very easy, I didn't do well in academically. The things which are most difficult academically during my degree, I mean, for example, chemistry, O levels, GCSEs now, I got top grades. I didn't even revise for it. I found it easy. I got grade A. Everything else, I got lower grades, and I found them. I found them easy. But the most difficult one, I got top grades. Same with degree. The two topic areas that everyone else struggled in, I was the only one who was getting the first. But my overall degree, was rubbish. So again, for someone like myself, we can't help but want to be challenged at the very frontiers of anything. We are the pioneers. Yeah, so that's a little bit about some of my upbringing.
Yeah, because whenever I talk to any individuals, neurodivergent or neurotypical, whatever, I intend to talk to them and listen to them. And when I'm doing mentoring, because I had a long standing career, as well as I was mentored with so many people in my past, my mother, and then my brother. The age difference going to be too much with my brother and me. So I'm 10th and he's second, so it's huge difference.
Mm,
uh, but the way he supported me is different. Uh, he's in this United US now, with his family living there for a long time. And every stage, when I went to school, there was people, teachers, and when I came to the UK on my higher education, every stages I had someone that, okay, they value me, and as well as they give some tools or techniques for me to go to the next levels.
mm,
So that's why I am here. So most of the people, they supported me. I'm very thankful to them,
mm,
because without their directions, without their support, I won't be in this place and talking to you.
mm.
So thank you. My gratitude to everyone. If you're watching this webinar, thank you to all. But why it is important? That's the questions, because I have seen many people, brilliant people, neurodivergent people, non-neurodivergent people, neurotypical, uh, they do not do well due to not having a specific directions. you know that we were talking before our live that one at a time, because people, they cannot take more than once. And you know, in sales and marketing, if you wanted to pitch someone, you have to sell just one item at a time. Otherwise, you cannot sell any. And you are a very, very good salesperson, as we know, and the viewers as well. So my question would be, uh, you have seen more than me, and you brought up in the UK. I came here when I was 20, 22, 23, but you came here very young, and you spent most of your lives here. What's the difference between, I would say, 90s or 2000s or current time? What's the difference between understanding neurodiversity, mentorships?
Well, wow, great, absolutely brilliant question. You know, I grew up, I came here in 74, and 70s, 80s, in fact, well into the 90s, autism was rare. Nobody had autism, but they did, of course.
Mhm.
And technologies and science and everything advances now. And the difference was that, for example, and this is a horrible situation. I want to give you an example. A lot of it depends on the community. There was violence. There was a lot of physical violence. Parents will be very violent towards, if you're ADHD and kind of uncontrollable or you're autistic. I want to give you an example. I went to Indonesia. I was helping an orphanage raise funds to help with their buildings. And I think it was 2016 or 15. I'd already been previously. And I went to 2016 and I stayed near the orphanage and I visited and I spent time with the kids. And one of the kids, he was an economic orphan. So his parents, father died and mother was raising the son alone. Autistic kid. And what he would do is he'd throw pebbles. He had this thing of throwing pebbles at passing by vehicles. And so his mother would whack him on his hands,
Mhm.
stop him. At some point, she could no longer control him. And so she said, look, you've got to raise him in the orphanage. I can't take care of him because I'm trying to raise my other kids. I've got to earn money. I'm on my own. When he joined, his hands had been so badly beaten. They were like claws. He could not open up his fists.
Mhm.
He could not open up his fists. But over time, with the nurturing and the loving and the support given by, I'll call them the parents of the orphanage, the husband and wife, and he changed, but he was still autistic. And given what they know, with the little that they know, the loving, the nurturing, creating the space for him to thrive helped. Now, when I went to visit him in 2016, I can see he just could not stay still. I think he had ADHD as well. He couldn't speak English. I couldn't speak Indonesian, their local language. They have many dialects. And so what I wanted to teach him was meditation. How do you teach meditation? I got them to practice breathing techniques. And then I showed them a bow. And he saw the bow, which I learned from Kung Fu. And they said, Kung Fu Panda. And I managed to get him to sit down cross-legged 5-10 minutes, just sitting there breathing with his eyes closed. Now, the parents, they weren't there. They came into the orphanage and they were shocked. Why were they shocked? They've never seen him sit down and stay in one place. Was it because I've got a skill? No. What it was that child felt safe, number one. Number two, that child could relate to what we were doing.
Mhm.
Number three, of course, I created the conditions and have the patience to help them do that. And so many years ago, there was no patience, there was violence, there was people would send them to mental hospitals and all sorts of horrible stuff, medicate them. But the reality is neurodiversity, now we know, has something to do with a brain condition, but it's not an illness. You're not
Yeah.
sick. And I know you don't like to you say it's a superpower, but nonetheless, you can use it for powerful reasons. And
Mhm.
so the difference now is that, yes, the world is starting to open its eyes, that there is something called neurodiversity. It's not something just woke. It's something that's very real. And all we need to do is look at the statistics. If you look at the statistics of prisons, for example, it's approximately in the UK, 85% of prison inmates have got some kind of neurodiverse condition. They didn't get the condition after they went into the prison. They had it before. And so this is the problem, you see. If you neglect, and people are waking up, but we've got a hell of a long journey to go. If you neglect these people, then you're going to see the consequences, which affects everybody, by the way. If they're in prison, it's very expensive. It comes out of taxpayers' money. And then if you look at the entrepreneurship side, look at the number of highly successful self-made people, whether you like them or not, Elon Musk, Richard Branson, whoever, they've got some form of neurodiversity. So we're starting to wake up, but we're only at the early stages. We've got a long way to go. And so this is why the webinar we're doing is vital, at least for our little community. It's only a small community. But let me ask you this. Let me turn it around. Mm-hmm. How do you think, in the time you've been here 20 years plus, how do you feel? Are we changing, and are we changing fast enough?
There is a real question. Thank you very much for asking this to me. It is rare, I would say, still. People, even neurodivergent people, they see someone that other neurodivergent people, they don't like it. Okay, that's one thing that I have faced. In workplace, they will all say level it down, that white leveling, neurodivergent, equal opportunities for everyone. But I failed most of the time that there isn't an equal opportunities. Doesn't matter if you are a neurotypical person or even neurodivergent person, they don't value the other neurodivergent person. I have seen it. I have experienced it. In relation with jobs and other things, people doesn't want it to hire a clever person, because neurodivergent person, they will not listen to you if that is not logical. So I have been through lots of interviews and I wasn't selected anywhere, okay, because I disclosed my disability. I have other disabilities as well due to my brain tumor surgery, and I'm neurodivergent. I tell them, yes, I'm neurodivergent. So if it's not logical, I'm not going to listen to you. If it's logical, I will work, and you cannot drag me from that work. I will finish it, and I will finish in highest quality. But that's the problem. So that's why I'm more into businesses, more into training people, because we can create the future prospects. We can create the future world. That's why you're going to be saying, yes, people do not like Elon Musk, but that doesn't matter really. He is contributing to the community. He's contributing to the science specifically. Richard Branson, and you will see so many neurodivergent people all over the world. They are contributing greatly. Yes, we have some problems, and I call it mutation. We are not superpower, but we have characteristics. With that characteristics, if you nurture them well, you can get great things out there. So our mutation is different. I do not believe that we are disabled due to neurodiversity. We have to work hard to take this out, the disability, from the disorder. People say it's disorder. It's not disorder. Then I would say neurotypical person is the disorder. We are not disorder. We are different muted. So our mutation is different.
Yeah, I think one of the, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, we have certain logic and rationale that we create the business for a number of reasons, but ultimately we create the business so we can make a bit more extra money, we've got more control over our lives, and so on. And in my brain, to this day, I cannot fathom, I can understand, but I can't fathom why. If, say, for example, you're a systems person, technology person, why would I go to anyone other than someone who's the best of the best in that field? Why would I not consider you as top candidate? But I can tell you there's several reasons, because a lot of bigger employers have their own agenda, and it's not necessarily aligned to the ultimate agenda of the company.
Yes.
So there's also, and I hate to say this, and we are live streaming into LinkedIn, YouTube, etc., but I will say it, spell it out loudly. Back in 2003 and 2003, I was the president of Birmingham Junior Chamber of Commerce, a leadership organization. I was the president at the time. And I was talking to, this is in Birmingham, a major, I won't mention the name, major accountancy firm. And they had a department looking after corporate social responsibility. So I met up with the head of corporate social responsibility and I asked them, what's your budget for your corporate social responsibility? And I think it was £25,000 back then.
Mm-hmm.
I said, okay, what does that pay for? And she said, oh, that's just my salary. So, oh, you mean you're paid to have a position and say that you have this position, but you actually don't have a budget to do anything? Yeah, that's in essence what it is. And so my concern for a lot of companies who claim to have a social values, claim that they're doing corporate social responsibility, they're trying to create equality, they are just tick boxing. That's all they're doing for their agenda of, okay, we need to be tradable on the stock market, no one's going to invest. That could be the reason, and it often is. That's not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you look at, say, for example, some of the biggest banks, and I won't mention any names, I spoke to someone extremely senior, so out of not talking about neurodiversity, I asked them, so how's the leadership? He said, well, the biggest concern is there are no females at the top of the leadership game and the directorial level.
Mm-hmm.
There's one or two, but there is no equality. So I want people to, who are listening, to understand, don't go chasing after equality. We want equality, EDI, equality, diversity, inclusion. Mm-hmm. We want that. But in my view, this is a very subjective view.
Mm-hmm.
In my view, don't go chasing after equality. Instead, be the best version of you. Bring the most amount of value and passion in what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And then here's what will happen. It's called resonance. You'll do it for your organization. If they value you, they'll value you. If they don't, and the value is higher, resonance is when you got two frequencies matching.
Mm-hmm.
When your value is much higher and you're not being valued, you will find somebody else will come and value you more. Mm-hmm. And it may be that next one. So this is dissonance and you will end up leaving. It happens. And so what you will find is, as long as you continue bringing value, so I'm mentoring you all neurodivergence at the same time, as long as you continuously bring value for the organization as they perceive it, bring in your passions, bring in your skills, then you are practicing being you.
Mm-hmm.
And what will happen is, over time, you'll find more and more organizations and individuals who value. I'm a living proof. I'm living proof that I'm mentoring people. As an example, I'm mentoring people directly, but I only work with a small number of one-to-one in a partnership capacity. This is besides my startup company, by the way. And today I was talking to two senior leaders who lead masterminds for business leaders. And it's interesting that as I speak to more and more CEOs and I bring more and more value, they value me more and more, and I get more and more opportunities. It's a game that is it's an infinite game of winning. So a lot of people will fight, and I won't pick on any groups. A lot of people will fight to say, hey, look at me, pay attention to me, look, me. I get it, I understand. But instead of fighting, because whenever you fight, you have resistance. Instead of that, either create lots of value for the person you're working for or the customers or clients you serve as they perceive it. Because even if you are not getting valued in your organization you're employed by, if you can provide great value as an entrepreneur, as a consultant, if you can provide great value to your customers, they'll reward you, they'll pay you.
I agree with you, Harun. When we talk about mentorship, when we talk about work, when we talk about business and growth, sometimes we fail to understand that it is a continual development. Some of the time the result will be quick, and some of the time the result will be slow. And you have to be in a way expecting or accepting the things that will happen in the future. So you create your path to become successful. I can see many neurodivergent persons, individuals, they do not value their talent. That's one thing is missing from them. They do not value them. So they will say other people, they do not value them. But what I have seen, that they do not value them either. So if you do not value yourself, you cannot create a prosperous society, or you cannot create your future. For myself, what I have learned from morning, from my childhood, uh, I valued myself. I valued my wish. I valued my surroundings, my family members. I valued myself more than. So self-harming and a lot of other things wasn't in between in me, because I don't feel that, okay, I can harm myself because I love myself. And after my brain tumor surgery, my second life, I loved more. Like, okay, I love me more than other people. So that's why I am having what I am now, because I want to see myself in a specific space that is very hard to reach. And when I mentor people, the differences between the valuing them and valuing the surroundings and societies is more competitive, I would say. Do you have anything to add to that? Why should we value us first to value other people and growing the mentorships and other things?
Beautiful, beautiful question. You're talking about, in many respects, imposter syndrome. So first of all, let's get some demystifying some of these things. So the imposter syndrome is saying, I'm doing this, but really, am I getting paid for this? It's a bit like when I first started professional speaking, I got paid. I'm like, oh my God, I just like speaking to audiences. I'm getting paid for this. But imposter syndrome is something quite we all go through to some degree, and a little bit is okay. A little bit is actually healthy. However, when it stifles you, when it freezes you from moving forward, it's dangerous. So I work with an amazing lady who's a business analyst. She's a copywriter. She does all sorts of amazing stuff related to business. However, her big thing is coaching entrepreneurs who are suffering from imposter syndrome. So her name is Lizzie Gray. I think that's her last name. I'll put I'll tag her on after the live session here. And Lizzie coaches people on imposter syndrome. Now let's talk about value. Value is so important. I want to take an analogy away from business for a moment. I was at an event where I was working on people's values, and we're talking about relationships. And so I asked somebody from the audience, I asked him, how many of you asked everybody, how many of you want to be loved and appreciated for who you are as you are? And they all put their hands up. And I picked on one person and I asked him, okay, so on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you want to be loved and appreciated and honored by your partner? So this is a gentleman, he's in his 40s, struggling with relationships. He goes, 10 out of a 10. So how much do you want to be loved? How much do you want to be appreciated? So I turned it around and said, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much would you consider you love yourself? He said 2. How much do you consider you value yourself? 4. And I said, okay, that's interesting. So let's just stay with the love. So this woman you attract into your life, she's going to have 10 out of 10 love to give you. But you can only take 2 because that's all you've got. Mm-hmm. If your capacity is only 2, then you will only be able to take 2. She needs to express her love. Where's the 8 going to go? If you're not able to handle it, where do you think the 8 is going to go? And so in the world of business, we do the same thing. I see it all the time that people do amazing work and then they go, oh my God, I can't charge for this, or I need to keep it low. An example is yoga teachers. if you look at yoga teachers, I say this sarcastically and in a patronizing way. There's more yoga teachers in the UK than there are yoga students. Bit of a problem. Same with Reiki teachers. You do 2 weeks of Reiki practitioner training, and all of a sudden, or master training, two days of it, and you're a master in Reiki. I'm like, how's that working out for you then? And so what they do is, because of the imposter syndrome, they don't believe in themselves enough. The lowest common denominator is always price. And so they underprice themselves. I see it in professional speakers. I see it amongst consultants, accountants, entrepreneurs across the board. And a good indicator that in your industry, there's a lot of imposter syndrome going on, or in your business, is just look at the price you charge. I'm not saying everyone should overcharge, by the way. High price. Not every product suited for that. You can't, you can't charge a class of 20 students £150 each to all be in the same class, because several reasons. One is they're going to go for the £5 a session class anyway. If you do one-to-one, maybe. So you got to take that into consideration, supply, demand. Look at the pricing that you're offering. Another thing is, when you ask somebody to do business with you, to buy your product, are you freezing up? That gives you an indication that you got imposter syndrome. You're not valuing you. So how do you raise your values? Let me help. Is that okay with you? I don't want it to be a lecture. I've trained people in sales. I've been number one in sales, several companies selling. It's something I do quite naturally, not because of money, by the way. It's because of value. Imagine this. Imagine a set of scales. On one side, you got price of that product or service. Now, you as the seller, whatever you're selling, you set the price. On the other side, you got value. So set of scales, balanced scales that you'll see in the market sometimes, the open markets. One side price, you set value for your product. But the value is your customer's perception of value, your client's perception. So imagine this. If price was heavy, but the value was less, would somebody buy from you, yes or no? Well, if they're paying more than the value, they're never going to buy. So the next is, what if it's equal? What do you think, Shah? If the price and the value is equal, would they buy from you, yes or no?
It depends on the preferences, I would say, because it doesn't matter. You give them a cheap price or you ask them a good price. It depends on the mentality of the person they're going to buying. They have to value you to get a high price ticket or low price tickets or whatever. Because if you do not value yourself, they're not going to value you. They're not going to value your price. So
straightforward answer to that one is, actually, they may buy from you or they may not. But what if they do value you equally? Let's pretend they value your price. They look at it and go, I'm paying £10 or £100 and it's worth £10 or £100. The reality is they're going to shop around, number one. And if they don't shop around, they might have a bad hair day. If they got more hair than me, they might go, oh, yeah, I'm not in the mood. Something might happen. But here's the magic. Here's where the magic happens. Imagine you've got price, but the value is exponentially more than the price. In other words, they're paying £10 and they think, yeah, £10 is good, but they're getting £100 worth of value or £50 worth of value. Now, if the value, remember, is their perception. They believe that I am getting £100 worth for £10. You know what they do? They will always buy. Unless they got zero money, just to clarify. They will always buy, because in their eyes, oh my God, I'm getting a 90% discount. So in other words, if I'm doing mentoring with a client and they are spending £1,000 for an hour with me, which is less than how much I charge, but let's say £1,000 an hour. But as a result of the hour, they take one or two actions and they make £10,000. It's a no-brainer. It's an absolute no-brainer. So let's turn it around. Let's talk about the individual. You, as an entrepreneur, a business person, or an employee, like it or not, let's use this word, you are the product. You have a personal brand. This is you, the product. Let's get you on this side of the equation of the balance scales. On this side of the equation, your value as seen by the person buying from you has to be, whatever the wage, whatever your fees, has to be more than they perceive that they're paying for. Provided they've got a brain in their head, provided they've got a simple, straightforward agenda of, we need this product, we need this service, so they know you, like you, trust you, and they need you, and they've got a money for it, and the value you have in their eyes is better than how much they're paying, they will always buy from you. As simple as that. Now, where do people struggle? Back to where you were saying, Shah. It's, how can somebody else value me if I don't value me?
That's the right thing.
And this is why you need a mentor. You need a mentor or a coach. So anyone who's a business person, obviously, like I said, my fees are too high for people. If they were business person, entrepreneur, I send them off to Lizzie for them to mentor and coach, to help understand, not logically, but actually in their cellular memory, that, hey, I'm worth it. More than L'Oreal, the advert. I'm worth it. And now, this is why this is important, Shah. Most of the people who I know who've got neurodiversity, who are actually a lot more focused and streamlined, like yourself, understand their value, but because they're so damn good at what they do, they are making a massive impact on the people they serve. So I know you're doing stuff on the whole sustainability issue, the whole green issue. You're doing a whole bunch of stuff using your knowledge, your power of understanding systems, processes, bringing software together to actually make this work. So the more you value you, the more you will attract others who value you, which ultimately will mean you will have a bigger and bigger impact.
Thank you
for it as a result.
Thank you, Harun. That was a great explanation, because I was expecting that from you. Because when you mentor people, you become mentors, you have mentees, and sometimes some people, they don't value you. So when I see someone is not valuing me, I totally cut off my relation with them, because, sorry, if you don't value me, I'm not going to be with you. And that's the rightful things, because you cannot undermine your value with another person, because that person, that he or she is not valuing you, it's going to be same behavior with other people as well, in front of other people. So you're going to be hinder your capacity. So that point, I will cut off my relation with them. Okay, you have different path, I have different path, so I'm not going to work with you anymore. That's one thing. Another thing, yeah, sorry, carry on.
I'm going to add to this, actually. Like having contracts is a good idea in the context of protecting copyright and everything, which is great. When I'm working with somebody, my contract is my word of mouth and my commitment to them.
Yeah,
I will demonstrate my value to them by proving it. I don't want contracts. You know why? I'll say, right, you want to do it without me, off you go. Go ahead, good luck, not an issue. I won't chase after you. Good luck, you have my blessing. If you're collaborating with me, I will bleed for you. I'll give my heart and soul into it. Nobody else can give that, because most people, not everybody, but it's a rare breed who's honors nowadays, who are very honorable to their word and actually can deliver.
mm-hmm.
So there's only one of me, there's only one of you, there's only one of everybody. Well, why would I want to be like anyone else? So I don't need contracts at all if I'm doing one-to-ones. Like, not a problem. Money has to be in the bank before they deal with me, of course, but not a problem. If you want to walk away, but just recognize when you walk away, that's it. So sorry, I had to interrupt there, because I thought it's important that people understand neurodiverse people tend to have this, how can I say, principle.
Yes, I totally agree with you.
You mentioned there was a second thing.
Yeah, my word is my word. So if I say that I will do it, I will do it until my breath. And if I wanted to contribute, I will contribute, not thinking about money. Money is not the an element of neurodivergent people. Many of the neurodivergent people, we cannot value money. So that's why most of creative person, neurodivergent person, they are successful because they do not value money. They value the knowledge. So I value the knowledge. I value the relation, and I value me. So if someone is not valuing me, sorry, bye bye. I'm not going to work with you because you do not value me. That's one thing. Another thing, when you work with neurodivergent people, mentoring individuals, first thing, you have to value you. The second thing, as we discussed earlier, that one at a time. So I fail to understand most of the time that neurodivergent people is tons of ideas at the same time. We have millions of neurons at the same time. So we think million different things at the same time, but cannot execute one. So that's point, I think mentorship plays very vital role. So if I give an example of myself from my childhood till now, I'm more settled, I'm more organized after going through training periods and my mentorships with different people and my PhD and all other things. So it gave me a framework. That framework is for doing thing at a time and be successful what you do. So people ask me how I do a lot of projects at the same time, but I have the training, I have the understanding. If someone gets that training and that understanding, they can also be successful, and they can do 10 things at the same time. How they do it? Concentrating one thing each time. So if I am doing a program with you, work with you, so my time going to be dedicated on that particular point. So end to end, I will have dedication working on a specific piece of work, and then I will switch my work if I collaborating with someone else. So anything that I do, it has to be end to end. Like I know my starting, I know my ends, and as well as I have the timing. So I need to know how much time I will engage it, and when I will finish it, and how many days it will take or hours it will take. Some of the neurodivergent people, they fail to understand this framework. Can you tell me, because you're working a long time now, collaborating as well as mentoring people, how important it is to have a framework, binding framework, I would say, and doing things one at a time?
Yeah, you're 100% correct that is probably, I have to say, that was one of my weaknesses, still is. So I want to give you a real life example from my own experience in failure. So I started 2007. I started interviewing scientists in the field of consciousness. I wanted to understand how I can expand my own consciousness to the point that I can change the world. Me, myself, and I. But it wasn't just about me. It was for my audience members. It was how can we all individually and collectively expand our consciousness? And I was podcasting, and this is in 2007, 2009. I had my first Name for a Consciousness Revolution show. And some of these people are top of their field. I used to have every week about 1,000 people listen in. Now, here's the thing. I was not consistent with it, though. And years later, I look at this upstart called Joe Rogan, who's got the biggest damn podcast in the world, right? And
Trump was there.
Hey?
Trump was there.
Yeah. Well, this was recently. I mean, when he started off, I started long before Joe Rogan. He had his TV shows and so on. I get that. But the point is this. What would have happened had I been consistent? I even had a radio station. So I didn't have a mentor. And this is the thing. And I think a lot of us, I don't know if it's the same with autistic people, but with ADHD, will look at something. So I wanted to go to an event, one of the 2009, the restart of my podcast. I wanted to go into an event and see this amazing scientist who was based in Hawaii, absolutely amazing Nassim Haramein, who's talking about such high advanced mathematics and physics, but made it very relatable to my area of interest. So, and I asked him, his secretary, is he come to the UK? And she said, yeah. Have you got a date? Not yet. Who's your organizer? Don't have any. Okay, well, how about I'll put on another event for you. So I wanted to see someone speak, but I wanted it so badly that I created the event myself. And I sold out the event, oversold the event in the space of 4 weeks in the middle of summer with total no notice except 4 weeks. And a lot of people without various conditions will try to do everything themselves because we have that desire, but it's actually can be a distraction. If you're naturally good at something, it is so important to find yourself not just one mentor, but different mentors. So I would say everybody with neurodiversity should meditate. So one thing I did consistently is I've been since 2016, I've been leading meditations, but 2018, I've been leading them on a weekly basis. It's just a small group, but week in, week out, unless I'm unwell or traveling, I'm always leading a meditation. It's something that's consistent. So one of the important elements of having a mentor and a coach who specializes, particularly in neurodiversity, is one of the things they'll have the patience. But the other thing is it's important to compartmentalize different elements of your life. Otherwise, you're going to do some of the things that probably you and I do, which is we'll get into our work, something really kicks off, we get into the flow, and then 14 hours later, we realize we're not in bed yet. And we're gonna be waking up in 4 hours' time. So that's not healthy for you. Unfortunately, we can do it, doesn't mean it's healthy. So for example, I hated it with a passion, administration, but after every day's meetings, we'd have to do a report to the company and send it off. So there's a little compartmentalization of your day. Doesn't mean you have to do it to the nth degree, but it allows you to stay focused. As an example, if you're a professional speaker, one of the worst things professional speakers hate is marketing and selling. But you're in the game of marketing. Your speaking might be 1 hour long. What are you going to do for the rest of the day? So every single day, you should be spending 2-3 hours just outreach work. Every single day. It's same with any kind of business. If you don't separate out all the different elements of your business, marketing, selling, operations, administration, finance, if you don't do that, you will end up only doing the things you enjoy. And then you don't have a business, you have a hobby, which is very expensive because no money is coming in. And then before long, you're out of business. And that would be a tragedy.
Thank you, Harun. So thank you everyone watching this live webinar. So if you want to ask us any question, feel free to ask us through the comment box. We have not received any question today. I hope that you are enjoying our talk. And we are recording this live webinar. And you can recap this webinar later on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and all of the social media. So we're going to be talking another few minutes. And thank you for joining today. I'm Dr. Shah Siddiqui from Neurodivergent Business Consortium, and I have Harun Rabbani from Young Leader Nexus. Something Harun is working such a long time, and we will come up with a new thing in the future. And we are also working towards getting more talks, because the more we talk, the more people will listen, and the more people will convert. So that is, I think that is a marketing strategy, because when you talk, when you present, and when you do a lot of marketing, people will listen, and more people will listen, and the business will be good. So Harun, thank you for joining today's live webinar. At the end, I just wanted to ask you key takeaways for mentorships. We know that mentoring is very important to guide you through, or to share you the experiences that the mentor has in their past lives, as well as you can have several mentors, because someone will be good in business, someone will be good in technology, so someone will be good in finance. So a person cannot be good in all other sections. I'm very worst on finance. If you ask me anything, I will say, sorry, don't ask me anything about finance. But if you ask me mathematics, critical mathematics, ask me that. I will do that for you. So different brains, different work. And you are a very good salesperson. I'm not that much very good. I'm just learning. So key takeaways from this live webinar for people to think about until we come back next.
Okay, so the key takeaways, first of all, is obviously get yourself a mentor. Why? Several reasons. So the key takeaways are why you should get your mentors. Number one, it creates that safe space for you to be able to get out everything that you need to say, everything that you're thinking, so you can get more clarity about the work that you're doing. But I mentioned it also creates a safety, because you know what? If you're a business owner, entrepreneur, leader, it's a very lonely position, whether you're neurodiverse or not. But when you're neurodiverse, it can be exponentially worse. So it's a loneliness, it's the safety, but also the accountability. Because look, we're all dreamers in our own different ways.
Mm-hmm.
But a dream or an idea is absolutely worth nothing if nobody else sees value in it. And if it's all in your head, how are you going to get it in front of people? So accountability, support, safety, those are key reasons. And then finally, of course, I strongly believe every single person with neurodiversity, probably without as well, but with neurodiversity, have got something magnificent, something remarkable to offer the world, something that other people will remark on. You will leave an impact one way or the other. So having that mentor is all about not trying to make something of you that you're not, but actually to bring out that beauty. I want to finish with, from my side, one little analogy. Several hundred years ago, in the countryside of Italy, there was a young man working on this big piece of rock day in, day out. You know, one day after the hot summer's day, he's chipping away this ugly piece of stone. And then a young boy comes up to him and says, why are you sweating your socks off working on this piece of rock? And he said, he, being Michelangelo, says, I was looking to bring out the beauty from inside. So there's beauty inside, and I can see it. You're a real good mentor actually will help bring out the beauty that you will never ever be able to see. I know without my mentors in martial arts and various other areas, had they not been there for me, then I can promise you I wouldn't be doing the amazing stuff that I've achieved in my life and that I still intend to achieve.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Harun. That was really valuable tips and key takeaways. We wanted to feel valued, and we wanted to value other people. When you value yourself and value other people, then you will get valued. So it's just like a ripple effect, I would say. Like if you do not value other people, you will not get valued by other people. So you have to value other people. Appreciation is another thing. Doesn't matter how small, how big the work is. Appreciate people for doing a little good or doing a little progress. Then you will see the world will change. Yesterday, I was watching a television advertisement, and on that advertisement, it was showing that, valuing other people, like touching someone, or maybe someone just fell, you just feel sad, like, okay, the person fell, and if you support them, he felt valuable, like, okay, he was being helped by someone, and then he will transfer this good feeling to other people. So gradually the good feeling bypass from one to another to many. So if you're a person and if you can support someone, I was supported by many people. The last person I name is Adrian Hobgood. Only for him, I got the PhD in a way that he wanted. So I was I was very what I would say, imaginary, and I had a big dream. But when you have a mentor, even if you have a big dream, they will tailor your methodology in a way to become successful. Yes, you cannot fulfill your big dream with your mentor, but you will learn enough to reach your point. So after my training, I finished my PhD in 2002. It's 2025. So after that, the achievements I have done so far, it's it's great. It's great, I would say. So all the opportunities is coming. So I can say yes, how why he had helped me to keep in a cocoon. Like, okay, you have to keep your things within you rather than doing 10 times at the things and become unsuccessful every work you do. So thank you everyone for joining today's live webinar. And Harun, last remarks for the audience.
Yeah, you know what? I will say it again. We have been brainwashed to think far less than who we are. So, in other words, you, the listener, you, the viewer, have got so much more amazingness, greatness inside of you. And really, the first step is to just embrace that. Next step is to find the people, the mentors who can help you step into that role. That's it.
Thank you, Harun. Thank you, everyone. Please stay on the line. I will say bye-bye to the audience. And thank you very much for joining today's live webinar. I hope you enjoyed our talk, and we're going to be bringing more talk in the future. Mentorships, supporting people, technology, sales and marketing, and so on, business developments. You can find it throughout this Neurodivergent Business Consortium live webinar and all other live webinar that I'm doing through GenZ Marketing Agency, Time Research and Innovation, and the Business Club. And we're going to be bringing some more talk in the near future. So thank you very much for your support, and I will welcome you this week and next week in other episode of my live webinar. Until then, stay tuned and spread the word and love yourself as well as believe yourself. See you next time, and bye-bye.